All right, let's get straight into our conversation now. President Muhammadu Buhari pledges his support to emergence of new president through peaceful and transparent election process in 2023 as race to producing next president thickens. Because he made this known in his last democracy speech as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But here is the point of conversation on the show now. As the nation commemorates her return to democracy 23 years after, the issue of many of her economic challenges come under spotlight as the country continues its journey in search for sustainable solution to her many challenges. All right, in his address to the nation to mark this year's democracy, President Muhammadu Buhari said, quote, "Fellow Nigerians, this is my last Democracy Day speech as your president. By June 12th, 2023, exactly 1 year from today, you will already have a new president. I remain committed and determined to ensure that the new president is elected through a peaceful and transparent process," end quote. But the question is, who will be the next president, or who will the next president be? What are the challenges the country faces economically? And what are some of these challenges, and how can they be fixed? Let's get talking now. Dr. Muda Yusuf is CEO with the Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Muda Yusuf. We appreciate you. I want to say Happy Democracy Day to you.
Yeah, Happy Democracy Day to you. Thank you, Frank.
Yeah. So let's start from the president's, democracy speech. Of course, in his this is, of course, his last democracy speech, like he said. He talked about issues of insecurity at the just concluded primaries. So let's start from the primaries. According to him, the primaries from the state to the presidential were peaceful and orderly. What's the position and what are the implications of these on our democracy, especially the quest to fixing Nigeria's economy via, appointment or election of a president?
Well, the president has done his best on all fronts, whether we are talking about the economic front, the social front, the security front. He has done his best. So I'm not expecting anything new between now and 2023 when he will be handing over. So whatever it is that we are grappling with now, we are likely to continue with that trajectory up until May 29, 2023. Because if you look at the various spheres of the economy, the challenges have not changed much. The solutions that have been provided have not changed. And the impact of many of these solutions has not been too impressive. We take our macroeconomic environment, for instance. We look at the key variables. We start from the inflation. You know what inflation situation is. We go to foreign exchange situation. You know what the exchange rate is. We go to our debt situation. You know what the situation is. We go to even issues of credit and the rest of them. You know, all those indicators are not looking very positive as far as the stability of the macroeconomic environment is concerned. And these things are very, very important for investment. So we have to live with the status quo for now. If you also look at the sectoral assessment, you look at each of the sectors. Take the agri sector. The agri sector is still struggling, especially because of the insecurity. If you take the manufacturing sector is also in a kind of crisis, because many of the manufacturers complain about the problem of the exchange rate depreciation. They complain that they cannot have access to foreign exchange and therefore they cannot get their raw materials. They are complaining about energy costs because of diesel. Right now we are hearing now that even there is another collapse of the grid. These things have become a recurring decimal. You know? So the energy situation, the poverty situation in the land and all of that, those things are still there. So if we manage to conduct a free and fair election, and I want to believe him that he's committed to doing that, and luckily we have a credible INEC. I mean, if INEC gets all the necessary support, I'm sure INEC will be able to deliver a free, fair, and transparent election. And once the elections are free and fair, then we are likely to have a peaceful transition. Because the major problem we often have with transitions and elections in Africa is when you don't have credibility with the elections.
Right.
And in many African countries, the biggest sources of conflict and violence is incredible or elections that are not credible. But I'm confident that this time around, we are likely to have an election that is credible.
Okay. Dr. Muda, I want us to reflect on the Nigeria's democratic journey 23 years after. I mean, democracy, of course, is acknowledged by experts as an accelerator of growth and development. In fact, a study published by the Journal of Political Economy of the University of Chicago concludes that democracy promotes growth and that its positive effect is significant effect, and I mean, it's estimated to achieve about 20% higher GDP per capita in about 25 years. So what that means is that where you have a democratic elected government in over a 25 years period, you have the GDP to be estimated to grow about 25% or 20% rather. Now, we're just 2 years from the target of 25 years. So if we are to reflect on the journey so far, how close or far is Nigeria from this target?
Well, it is debatable whether democracy in its present form is actually the best. But just as many scholars have said,
yes,
even the worst form of democracy is better than a dictatorial regime. I'm talking of a military regime. But quite frankly, this democracy needs to be fine-tuned. One, the quality of leaders that the democracy is throwing up, particularly within the context of the current electoral framework, the current structure of elections, the quality of leaders that are being thrown up is not very, very encouraging. You have a democratic system where it is extremely difficult for people with integrity, people with competence, people who are very patriotic, but who don't have loads of money. It's extremely difficult for them to emerge in this dispensation. You know, I mean, look at what has happened even the last few months. You can see that it is cash that is speaking. It's not integrity, it's not competence, it's not character, it's not ability to deliver. The moving engine is money. That is not the kind of democracy that we need to propel development. You know, so we need to fine-tune the model,
right,
to get a democracy that will deliver more quality people. I think this is a nascent democracy, and that is why we need to fine-tune. Because what we have is just something we copied from US and just implant here. It doesn't always work because the cultural environment, the kind of people, the kind of characters we are dealing with are completely different.
Okay.
So we need a system to continue to fine-tune it.
All
so
right.
that quality people can emerge at the executive, at the legislature, at the local government level. Those things must happen.
Just before I allow you to go, we can't exhaust this conversation in a day. We'll certainly will have to create a time to bring you on board this week again. But just before I let you go, Dr. Muda, I needed to let us know what is likely to change. Yes, you talked about the issue of around macroeconomic management, around the forex crisis that is rocking the Nigeria economy at the moment. That's, of course, some of the issues we need to talk about in the days ahead. But what is likely to change? Now, you talk about issue of leadership, being able to produce or that leadership that will change some things. What are your expectations? Primaries are some of the parties have concluded their primaries, and we've seen aspirants emerged on those platforms. Do you expect anything to change at all? And how significant is that likely to have in terms of impact on the economy?
Well, I expect some changes. They may not be very dramatic, but I expect some positive changes. I say that because the probability is extremely high that the eventual winner will come from one of the two major political parties. That's it, PDP or APC. That is just my own personal guess. And if that is the case, because the two candidates have quite a lot of private sector exposure. And one of the biggest challenges we have in the economy today is also about economic management. It's about getting the right kind of team. It's about having a leader that understands business, that understands investment, that understands how to manage resources. If you have that, we are likely to see some changes in the way things will pan out under the next dispensation.
Right.
That is my guess.
I think we'll just have to leave it there. But we'll just find time to bring you up again in our subsequent shows on the program here. Many thanks for your time. Dr. Muda Yusuf is a CEO, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises. Thank you for your time, and happy Democracy Day once again.